Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the introductory session of the Joint Journal two-day conference for the Journal of Online Learning Research and Practice and the International Journal of OERs focusing on AI. I am Kathleen Tate, PhD, Editor-in-Chief of the first mentioned journal and Professor and Department Chair of Teaching at American Public University System. This is an exciting conference, and there may or may not be time for Q&A at the end of this session. If there are questions, please put them in the chat and they may be answered later and posted. It is my honor to introduce our introductory speaker, Mr. Nuno Fernandes, President of the American Public University System, known as APUS, who has spent most of his career working with innovation and distributive models powered by technology in the US and in several countries around the world. Nuno is passionate about innovation, about improving teaching and learning experiences through the ethical use of technology, and about making education more affordable and accessible to students around the world. Before being the president of APUS, Nuno was the president and CEO of one of the largest edtech enterprises in the world, serving almost 300,000 students and pioneering online education in various continents. Nuno believes that AI can improve quality, student and faculty experiences, accessibility, and affordability. With that, it is my pleasure to turn it over to President Fernandes.
Thank you, Kathleen. Good morning, everyone. We have almost 1,000 people enrolled in this conference from different parts of the world. I saw a lot of familiar names, so I want to welcome all of you. It's a pleasure having you here with us. I'm going to start by showing a short video that I've actually used recently in a presentation that I did in Nairobi, Kenya, for the Secretary of Education of Kenya. And the interesting thing about this video is that it's not real. It was created with AI. And when this is really the first version of the Sora system, the ChatGPT system that they put out there, and it shows the incredible capacity that it has to create content, to create videos, which without any doubt will impact higher education in the near future. But if we go back in time, just 12 years, this was kind of the landscape of companies that were working with, big data, machine learning, AI. So, a decent number of companies. But if you go now, fast forward in time, just the last year, this is the new landscape. And I believe that if you go fast forward 2 years, we're going to need a few slides to show all the companies that are working in this space. So a lot of movement happening and a lot of things changing without a doubt. The challenge for universities is not uncommon. This is a slide from a company called Holland IQ. Some of you probably know them. They do excellent work in terms of education and other industries as well. But you would see, and this is from 2022. I assume that if we do one in 2024, it's probably even more visible. But in 2022, the biggest challenge for universities was how to address digital transformation, which is also the biggest challenge for non-universities. So certainly a topic that is top of mind for everyone, and everyone is trying to find how to navigate in these kind of uncharted waters. And this is incredibly important because we are living in a transformational moment in history, I believe. And just like it happened in other industries where the market leaders at the time failed to understand how the industry was changing, and eventually failing to understand those changes led to the disappearance of those companies. Two famous examples are Kodak, right, that at some point was the largest photo company in the world, and they failed to understand the movement into digital photography, and they disappeared. Another great example is Blockbuster. Very recent, 12, 14 years ago, they were by far the #1 company in their space, and they failed to understand the movement into the digital space, and they disappeared, creating with that other companies that now are the market leaders. I believe that something like this will happen in education. So for all of us that work with universities, it's paramount that we really think strategically and tactically, how do we address the changes that we are seeing in the marketplace and the changes that we will be seeing even more visible in the near future. So what is changing today is that not only there's a new wave of technology, and this is not necessarily something new, but what is new is that it's probably the most consequential of all of them because it's the fastest one. You can see here on this slide the time it took for these applications, these companies to achieve 1 million users. And you can see, Netflix, Kickstarter, Airbnb, X, they took years to get to 1 million users, and ChatGPT did it in 5 days. So what is changing is not only the aspect of the technology that is available, but also the speed of adoption of that technology. And of course, this has incredible impacts on education. And we've all seen these news. I'm not going to invest a lot of time, but we can see that these new technologies do have an impact and do have the capacity to be very useful in terms of academic experiences and student experience and faculty experience. So the big question, I believe, is what to do about it, and how do we augment the work of the faculty by integrating these tools so that they can provide a better service for our students and potentially at a much lower cost. But the point I want to make about these is that this is just starting. All this discussion about ChatGPT, GPT-4, maybe the first AGI coming in the near future. This is just the beginning. And I think that in the next years, we're going to see an exponential evolution of what AI has to offer, not only in education, certainly all across the board. And some examples of what happened. This is Midjourney, is an application that allows to produce photos, images. And you can see here just in 24 months, the evolution of the quality from V1 to V6. The prompt was photo of a ginger and white cat in the garden. And you can see the quality of the photos that the application is producing. When you look at V5.2 and V6, it's very hard to tell that they're not real. And some other examples with this application are all these photos that we have here. None of these photos is real. All of them were produced with AI. And it's very hard to tell that they are not real, right? So when we think about these in terms of implications, as I started with video production, photo production, content production in general, the question is, how do we integrate these to favor our students to provide better content, more updated content, more exciting content, gamification, innovation inside the classroom, and so on and so forth. So I think that's one of the possibilities that AI is gonna bring to educators, is the ability to produce exciting content for a much lower cost. Many years ago, I've told this story before, and I apologize if some of you have heard it, but many years ago, I was working with an Ivy League university on a special project. And back then, this particular school in 2016 was investing something like $200,000 per course in video production, $200,000 per course in video production in 2016. Nowadays, that is possible to do for almost zero cost and probably with better quality than what was delivered by $200,000. So it's an interesting time, and certainly I believe that educators, we should be really exploring how to use AI to produce better content, more exciting content, more innovative content. Of course, these do not come without risk. This is a photo that probably most of you have seen it. It was the Pope with the Balenciaga jacket. When the photo came out on X, there was a lot of movement, a lot of criticism. How come the Pope is wearing this expensive jacket and so on and so forth? So people really believe that the photo was real. Turns out that it's not, right? So certainly AI does not come without risk. There are a lot of ethical questions that must be considered. And tomorrow, I'm particularly excited because tomorrow at lunchtime, we have Congressman Obernolte, who is leading the bipartisan AI task force at Capitol Hill. So I'm really looking forward to learning about what the regulators intend to do about AI, and I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting conversation. And in education, we tend to say that we like innovation, but in reality, sometimes not so much. And in this particular case of AI and this technology transformation that we are seeing, I think there's no way back. And, this is a famous sentence from Clayton Christensen, the famous Harvard professor, where he said, you might not like gravity, but gravity does not care. And I think in AI is kind of the same, which is you might not like it. You might think that there are ethical questions. Certainly there are. You might think that it's not the best thing to do, but nevertheless, I think we've reached a point of no return, and the intensity of opportunities and intensity of usage is only going to get bigger. And I always show this photo because I think it's kind of a good example of what I'm trying to say about not fighting change. This is a photo in the United States. I think it was in South Carolina in 1986, where math teachers were protesting against the use of calculators inside the classroom. Well, that didn't go very well for it, did it? So, you know, the same experience as you can't use a calculator, I think you can translate that to say, well, you can't use AI. It's something that probably does not make a lot of sense. And I'll tell you why it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's because I believe that as educators, part of our job is to teach our students for real life, for real jobs, for real experiences, so that when the students graduate, they know how to operate in a real work environment. And we know, just like in the 80s, possibly accountants and finance people were going to use calculators once they had a real job. We know that our students most likely will be exposed to AI tools once they graduate, once they have a real job. So I think it is our responsibility to maximize that experience and to maximize the potential of our students so that when they get to the job market, they have the academic component, but they also have the skills needed to thrive in the job market. And certainly, I believe that AI literacy is one of the skills that will be very important in the next years. So I believe that what we are seeing shows that education will change more in the next 10 to 15 years than it did in the prior 1,000 years. And this is not hyperbole. I mean, I truly believe that when you look at education over the last 1,000 years, the concept has always been that there's a professor and their students, and the professor delivers the knowledge. The students receive the knowledge. Most of the times they memorize the knowledge, they do an exam, and they move on. And I think that now for the first time, we'll have tools that will allow to augment, to maximize the job of the faculty, to provide better experiences, different experiences that will certainly change the experience inside the classroom, on campus and online. And this is not anything particularly new about or unique to education. We know the world is changing rapidly. If we think about the largest taxi company in the world, Uber, they have 0 vehicles. The most valuable photo company in the world, they sell no cameras. The most popular social media network, still have Facebook, it's Meta now, but they create no content. The largest accommodations provider, they own no real estate. The fastest growing network, TV network, has no cables, and the smartest chat does not use humans. So the question is, what will the biggest university in the world look like in the next decade or decades? I don't know the answer, but that's really the question. And I came across this study, and I'm about to conclude my introduction today. I came across this study in around 2014, and this study is from 2011. So think about, go back in time 13 years, right? And someone 13 years ago said that around 2020, there would be a computer as smart as a human. You can see it here on the right side with the brain. And that's exactly what happened with ChatGPT and other applications, where the computer is kind of as smart as a human, right? So these happen. The same study predicts that by 2045, we're going to reach singularity, which means that by then, computers will be the smartest species on Earth, and one computer can be smarter than all humans combined. This kind of looks like science fiction, but nothing in this study that was done in 2011, nothing of it has proven wrong. In fact, it is actually accelerating faster than what the study predicted. So we really need to think and how to address and how to use these to favor our students, to favor the communities we serve, and to integrate that technology inside the classroom to offer these really incredible and memorable experiences that, by the way, the students will be expecting. So over time, when you look at universities, you know, University 1.0 was the first presential university kind of 1,000 years ago. Then the book came along, and really the book was the first tool for distance learning, if you think about it, because now you don't need the person that wrote the book. You can read the book, and a professor is going to teach what the book is all about. So that was 2.0 after the printing press. Then University 3.0, the traditional university, classroom university, as many of us have attended. which is still valid today and then still exists today and will continue to exist in the future. Then the University 4.0, which is the online university, right, where about 30 years ago, the delivery of education through a computer. And I believe that we are now about to start the University 5.0, which is the digital university. And the digital university is flexible, is personalized, is as on-demand content, and adapts itself to each student. It's one of the things about education that the program that the students are attending is the same program for everyone, but it shouldn't be like that because every person is different and every person learns in different ways. So I believe that technology will allow to personalize that experience, not only in terms of academic content, but also in terms of services. And as I said before, this is not only what we should be doing, but it's also what the students will be expecting. The modern student, and this is going to be even more valid in the future, the modern student is surrounded daily with incredible digital experiences. They search online, they do exercise online, they commute online, they watch movies online, they listen to music online, they bank online, some of them date online. So their online experience, their digital experience is daily surrounded by incredible apps that they use. And when they come to the university, they will expect the same level of quality of their digital experiences. So it's almost like the expectation is there, and we as universities need to deliver on that expectation. And because we are having an academic conference, I couldn't avoid having some theoretical abstract charts here to share with you. But I believe that this is how I believe that technology and AI will impact not only education, but industries in general. And what technology allows is to do more for less, right? You can do more for less. You can provide more quality for less cost. So if you look at the green line that represents quality, over time, the quality is going to improve. Over time, the cost of delivery, which is the blue line, is going to decrease. And the price of delivery, that service or that product, is also going to decrease. But over time, everyone wins because the student gets growing quality and gets kind of more bang for the buck. They will be paying a lower price and they're going to get more quality, more services, more exciting education. And the educators delivering the education, they will have this margin expansion that will allow them to continue to reinvest in quality, in faculty, in technology. To give you a concrete example of what I mean by this is, if you look at Blockbuster 14 years ago and Netflix today. Blockbuster, if you go to Blockbuster, you got 2 DVDs, you'd pay $30. Blockbuster had a certain margin, right? Then in the end, the margin was negative, but at some point they were profitable, right? But they had a margin and they would deliver 2 DVDs for $30. Today, you can pay $15 and watch as many movies as you want on Netflix. And Netflix has a much higher margin than Blockbuster. So this is what I mean. Scale allows you to provide more technology for a lower cost and eventually for a lower price, in our case, for a lower tuition, which in the United States is one of the big challenges that education faces, right? The price of tuition. And I believe that AI and scaling technology will allow to solve that if universities are really invested in solving that problem. So with that, I conclude that the intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. I believe this to be true in every situation in life and professionally. And I believe that we as educators need to have the ability to adapt to the changing environment that we're seeing, which, as I mentioned initially, is probably the most challenging and the most changing environment in education of the last 1,000 years. So with that, I conclude my introduction. I believe I did it on time, Kathleen. Was I?
Yes, you're just in time, and I just had to mute myself. Thank you so much, President Fernandes. You gave us so much to think about. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate everyone for attending this session. And this is a good time for a short break, as the next session will begin in approximately 10 or 15 minutes. What a great start to the conference.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.